In 1910, when this new hospital started, they also started a school of nursing. And this was a huge boost to the young women of Lethbridge who desperately wanted to become part of that medical community. So this nursing school taught nurses mainly on the job. So they were in the wards, they were working with the doctors and the head nurses, and they were learning on their everyday routine. That expanded after a few years, where doctors and the head nurses realized that the younger nurses needed to get more theory. And so they set up a classroom in the nurses' residence, which was just south of this existing building. So they could go down into the basement into a classroom, and they'd learn all sorts of things about anatomy, about lab work, the chemistry of the lab, and all of the aspects of medical science that they weren't necessarily able to learn in a busy hospital ward. The nursing students worked very, very hard. Their life was very regimented, and there were high expectations. They couldn't even go to the Northwest Mounted Police barracks. There were too many men there. They might be getting into trouble there. They were given curfews. So the nurses could go to a movie in town, but they could only watch the first part of it before they had to scurry back and get into the residence before the curfew ended. Some of them, although, were pretty good at sneaking up the fire escape. In that way, they had to wear absolutely pristine clothing, starched to perfection. And as students, they wore blue dresses and white aprons, white caps, and black shoes. And many of them have told me how much they appreciated graduating finally and being able to wear a white cap with a black band on it, white shoes, the white nurses' dresses. And that proclaimed that they were a fully qualified nurse. The nurses who were here came from a wide spectrum of the community, except in the early years, Japanese Canadians were not allowed to be a part of this situation. Until one of the matrons found a young lady who was so dedicated and wanted to become a nurse so intensely that she went to bat for her. And she approached the board and demanded that this young lady be allowed to study and to work in the Galt Hospital. And she succeeded, and so did that young nurse. She was an amazing addition to the medical field in this community. Today, if you'd like to see a remnant of the 1886 hospital, there's a wall outside in the south part of the building, and that's an original. That's a piece of that hospital. Nurses who are part of the alumni of the Galt School of Nursing wanted to remember, help people understand what nursing was about. They helped the Galt build this wonderful statue of a nurse. And she looks like she's hurrying to the hospital to work for her day. Her cape's flowing behind her, and it's a lovely representation of the nursing society in this community.